Basic Education is pleading with Eskom to keep the lights on for matric pupils. It's met with the utility on Thursday. The department made 3 requests. The first for blackouts to be avoided at all writing and marking centres. The second is for no power cuts between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. from Sunday to Thursdays. Lastly, the department wants no outages when sign language papers are written. Let's discuss this with Basic Education spokesperson Mhlanga. Thank you so much for your time, Elijah. I think first of all, let's just speak about the meeting that you had with Eskom and what you are expecting the power utility to consider given its exam period.
Good afternoon, Heidi. Well, we did have a meeting, and we are glad that the Eskom CEO was present together with the DG of the Department of Enterprises, Public Enterprises, as well as the acting DG of the Department of Basic Education, which shows the seriousness of the issue. And we did make a presentation to them asking for power to be continued even when load shedding is taking place in those 3 areas that you mentioned in your introduction. Yes, sign language is important. It requires computers. So on the 23rd of November and the 30th of November, the papers will be written. And of course, after writing, we have marking which takes place. We do capture marks. For us to do that, we need the lights to be on. So we made a plea to Eskom to please consider our proposals, and we believe they are busy doing so at the moment.
Speak to us about the kind of impact that load shedding has had, not just on the marking aspect, but also the anxiety that it's created for learners, especially when they need to go back home and study and they don't have electricity.
Yeah, that's correct. There's a lot of anxiety that is taking place out there affecting our learners. We've done a lot of monitoring, going to different provinces to check on them, talk to them about how they feel regarding the load shedding. And they do express concern. We find that most schools are implementing camps on site in school, which means the learners are residing in the school so that they're able to write exams, but also prepare after the exam for the next papers. And that type of planning and those camps are disrupted because the learners are not able to learn in the evening. Yes, we saw some schools, they have bought generators, but that is not sustainable. We need electricity to be available at all times so that they're able to learn. But there are some schools that are not able to have on-site camps due to space challenges that they encounter. As a result, the learners learn up until 9 p.m. or thereabouts. They have to walk home in darkness. So it's not just about the lack of electricity supply in school, but also generally in the community when learners are going back home after their evening studies. So there's just a lot of work that needs to be done that requires electricity, including ensuring that traffic lights are working properly so that the people who are transporting papers from the storage facilities and nodal points are able to transport them on time to schools where they need them before they start writing at 9.
And pupils getting to school on time because sometimes you get stuck in traffic and then you're not there on time. Speak to us about what guarantee there is from Eskom that there won't be load shedding or that they will consider all 3 of your options, because we do know that nothing is guaranteed with our power utility and load shedding happens at the most inconvenient time. So what guarantees have been given to the Basic Education Department about solving this problem and trying to keep the lights on?
Well, the good thing is that there is commitment from the side of Eskom to listen to the department, and the fact that we had all senior managers or most senior managers present in that meeting, including the CEO himself and the DG of the relevant department, it shows that everyone is taking this matter very seriously, and they're committed to looking into implementing the recommendations or the proposals that we made to them. And a team was going to be assembled, and indeed the team has been assembled. As we speak, there will be a follow-up meeting on Monday, which shows the urgency of the matter. They ask for certain information, which we have since made available to them, and we believe they will use that to process our request, and we hope that there will be some relief in those areas that we have requested that they take into account in their planning. There are no guarantees. We know that previously they've said we are going back to stage 2, or there will be no load shedding, and some emergency somewhere happens, as they always say. So they have committed to looking into assisting us, but you can never be sure, because some of the things that they are also encountering are issues which they say are beyond their control. But what we've had to do as a department is to take our story to them and say, this is how we feel about what is taking place. Please do something about it. And they are doing something about it as we speak. What it will be, we will see as we go.
Okay, great. And just lastly, Elijah, just quickly speak to us about the overall assessment of how exams are going, despite the fact that there has been load shedding and it has severely impacted the state of pupils, but also the overall marking and the process of exams. How is overall assessment of the exams been going?
Well, the exams are going well, despite the challenges we're facing regarding power supply, but the exams are going. There hasn't been anything that has stopped the exam. Whether there's power or not, we've been able to continue using natural light during the day. Our concern, as you correctly indicated, is just the preparation, but the actual writing itself has not been disrupted, and we're grateful for that. We have not received any reports of any papers having leaked or anything of that sort. So far, so good, and we pray that things will remain the same until the 7th of December.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for those insights. And as you heard here on eNCA, we do understand that a meeting will happen on Monday with the Basic Education Department and Eskom to find a solution to this problem. That was Elijah Mhlanga from the Basic Education Department. Let's stay with that topic. We get reaction from Sadtu, Secretary General, who's Xolani Fakude. He joins us now. Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it. Just quickly speak to us about the kind of impact that load shedding is most likely going to have on the issue of marking. It's not just pupils that are affected, but it's also teachers, as you heard Elijah saying, getting the exam papers to the various venues to make sure that exams happen on time, but also marking is going to be a big one.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Heidi. First, let me greet you, let me greet the viewers as well. And perhaps just a slight correction there. I'm not necessarily the General Secretary of Sadtu. That is Mr. Mugwena Maluleke, but I'm the Secretariat Officer. Heidi, you are asking a very, very important question. And naturally, as a union in education, we indeed are concerned, particularly the disruptions that we've seen currently. You would appreciate, Heidi, that this current cohort of matriculants, in every sense of the word, it has gone through the most. And it is quite unfortunate that right now, as we are still busy trying really to mitigate against the COVID impact over the past 2 years, both on teaching and learning, we now have to deal with load shedding. So I can also guarantee you indeed that it is causing us a lot of anxiety as education workers. The ones who especially who also will be in the marking centers, that is primarily a very important space for us. And obviously, it increases the levels of anxiety because there are multiple other concerns, by the way, when there is no electricity. There are issues of traffic congestions, there are issues of security, and many other matters. So what we are hoping for, Heidi, actually moving towards the Monday meeting that Mr. Mhlanga was speaking about here, that indeed will come up with sustainable solutions. What we are saying, and what is important to us, is that the writing process should not be disrupted, but certainly, and again, secondly, is that we should make sure that we offer as much support to our learners currently, given the current circumstances. We are also hoping, Heidi, that the Department of Basic Education, which is important for us, the DBE will actually be more understanding towards the learners and the teachers during this particular instance. For instance, we're talking about traffic congestion. And therefore, it means that their learners, some of them will be arriving late, by the way, to the exam centers. Other learners, by the way, rely on electronic tools and gadgets to even get their assessments. So we're saying that we need to make sure that we come up with sustainable solutions so that we really can mitigate against what we consider to be an unfavorable position.
And as Sadtu, have you been able to engage with Eskom and the Basic Education Department on this matter and possibly being in this meeting to find these sustainable solutions you speak of?
Well, as a matter of fact, Heidi, the lead department in our sector is the Department of Basic Education. and we are receiving the information, and we're putting our ear on the ground, and we'll consistently actually evaluate what we are receiving. So ours was that we approached the Department of Basic Education, and we strongly raised this matter. We strongly raised our concerns, especially even as we move towards the marking phase as well. And we rely on the Department of Basic Education to actually even hold account or the Eskom accountable when the time comes. At some point as well, Sadtu, for instance, will be amongst those unions that will be strongly calling for some kind of investigations. We're receiving reports that, I mean, at some point, technicians in Eskom ignored warning systems 3 days before elections. And we're asking ourselves that then the element of sabotage, could it be a fact or is it a myth? So we're saying that we'll be one of those unions actually who will be calling very strongly for such corrective measures to take place, because we're saying that in future we need to make sure that this does not happen again.